Raiders have fired Josh McDaniels. If you don't click that like button, what were we screaming about for the last year and a half? The Raiders did it. Mark Davis smartened up, and coming up here on the Raiders Report, we're going to be partying. We're going to be celebrating. And if you're just tuning in and you're just watching this right now, I'm a man that keeps my word. I'm a man that's committed to excellence. I will be live on the Raiders Report 24 straight hours. So, hey, whether you wake up in the morning, whether you're having a cup of tea, shout out to Martin, whether you're David Zahn and you're working graveyard, this show is built on the backs of Raider Nation, and if y'all are ready to turn up and y'all are ready to party, let's get this thing going, because the Raiders finally did it. They fired Josh McDaniels. They fired Dave Ziegler, and I'm not going to lie to you, I feel a little bit bad for Dave, but as an adult, when you tie yourself to another human being that is as bad as what McDaniels has been, you're going to be partly responsible. And the Raiders finally smartened up. It has been reported that the Raiders gave McDaniels and Ziegler both a six-year deal. And the Raiders are going to be on the hook for the final 4 years of that, fully guaranteed. But for everybody that said, oh, Mark Davis doesn't have enough money, I'm not a big I told you so guy, but tonight I'm taking a victory lap. I told y'all that Josh McDaniels was going to be terrible. I told you that you're just wasting your time. I also told you that it was possible that the Raiders could fire Josh McDaniels. So here's a simple message. I want you to pat yourself on the back tonight. The Raiders Report is proof that when you rally a bunch of people together that have one common goal, you can achieve something beautiful. And it's the thought that you can achieve the just being heard. So I mean this, and I'm a big-time man of my word here. I told you I'm going to be live for 24 straight hours. I bleed silver and black. I rep the Raiders every day of the week. We're going to keep you guys up to date with news, the rumors. President of the Fire Josh McDaniels Club. But the biggest reason why you should subscribe is because if somebody told you that the Raiders will not fire McDaniels, and you're like, you know what? I believe in the nation. And if you believe in the nation and you're that type of person that doesn't like to be told no when you truly believe in something, hit that subscribe button, man, because this show is making movements. And if you don't think that this show, with the amount of people we got here, is doing shit, you need to wake the hell up. Speaking of waking the hell up, I wake up this morning, a little ring, ring, ring. Jeremy Chugs on my line. He goes, dude, did you see what just happened? They did it. If it wasn't for Jeremy Chugs, I'm not here. I'm sound asleep in my bed with Chuck right between my legs. I got Alex right here. I was asleep tonight for, I'm going to say, maybe 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes. I look, wouldn't you know it, Adam Schefter can confirm the Raiders have gave Josh McDaniels a 6-year contract in January 2022. He has over 4 full years left on that deal that the Raiders are obligated to pay. But you know what? Mark said it's time, and he finally did it. He fired Josh McDaniels. I don't know the last time I was this happy. It's been a tough couple of years here. But the Raiders not only fired Josh McDaniels, they fired Dave Ziegler as well. So because the Raiders now moved on from their head coach, now they moved on from their general manager, coming up here on the show, I'm going to get you into the information in terms of who they hired as their interim, who they hired as their interim GM and head coach. And at the very, very end of the show, I got some guys that the Raiders could potentially hire in 2024. So how about this? The Raiders right now are 3-5. And there's a lot of people out there that probably think like, oh, the Raiders season's over. I don't know about you. I feel like it's a brand new year. I feel like it's a brand new season. You got the New York Giants. You got the New York Jets next week. Games that, as far as I'm concerned, you can win. You can win those games. So please let me know down below. It's going to be the ad pin comment on today's show. Scroll on down and tell me, how many more wins will the Raiders get this season? My answer, I'm not going to spoil it for you. My answer coming up here after this break. The Raiders are going to win 9 games. I'm going to go ballsy here because I think that they're going to get inspired. It's also been reported that Aiden O'Connell is expected to be the starting quarterback going forward here for the Silver and Black. Aiden O'Connell gives you a much better chance than Jimmy Garoppolo. Why? Jimmy G's not good at football anymore. Brian Hoyer has never, honestly, been very good at football. And the fact that the Raiders are now going to go with this totally different look, this team's going to play inspired. I told you all last week that I had a few Raiders players tell me that it was time. I had a Raiders player text me, it's time after the Raiders lost to the Lions on Monday Night Football. I know there's a lot of people out there that laugh at me. I know there's a lot of people out there that don't think that I talk to players. If you think a show this big doesn't talk to players, and that's not a humble brag, that's just you using your head. That's just you using your head here a little bit. We have sources. We talk to people. But you know what? People watch us, and they listen to what we say. Why? Raider Nation is proof that when you rally together, man, I'm telling you, you can achieve anything. So Adam Schefter, again, said it's a new day in Las Vegas. The Raiders head coach now is Antonio Pierce. And I'll tell you what, I could not be happier for Antonio Pierce, the new interim head coach for the Silver and Black, and now also the interim general manager is Champ Kelly. Pierce will make his NFL head coaching debut on Sunday versus his former team, the New York Giants. That is a revenge game if I have ever seen one. And in my show that I did about, I want to say last week, I made a show around Raiders interim head coaching candidates. And one of the guys on that list was Antonio Pierce. I brought up the name Patrick Graham. I brought up the name Rob Ryan. I'm going to be real with y'all. I've made a few texts and I said, why is it Antonio Pierce? My source told me that the reason why the Raiders went with Antonio Pierce, and this is literally the quote, it's simple. He connects with players. I mean, think about this. If you're a Raiders player right now, you probably have no confidence whatsoever in this coaching staff because everything that you've been told by this coaching staff, you feel like you've been misguided. Listen to a Josh McDaniels press conference. Actually, you don't have to do that anymore, luckily. But when you get done listening to a Josh McDaniels press conference, you leave wondering, what the hell did that guy just say? And I'm telling you, Raiders players have felt that for a long time. So you bring in Antonio Pierce, a dude that has been a player, been an NFL player for over 9 years, has a Super Bowl ring, is a great leader, has worked in college, has worked in the NFL. He can connect with players. You keep Patrick Graham where he's at. You keep Mick Lombardi where he's at. And I'm guessing now that means that Mick Lombardi is going to be the new offensive coordinator here for the Raiders, and he's going to be the one making the plays. If you're looking to play this week, hey, there's one place to do it, man, and one place only. It's with our sponsor, Prize Picks, and it's daily fantasy sports made easy. I know this. I'm going to be celebrating all week. I'm going to be putting my money where my mouth is, and I'm going to be going to prizepicks.com/CLNS, and I want the nation to as well. Use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. Prize Picks, man, they got basketball, they got baseball. The Texas Rangers got a win. They're now up 3-1. You can do a bunch of different games, and if you're looking for entries, I know one of the things that Chugs is rolling with this week is he's going to go with Tua Tagovailoa more on the passing yards, and then also with Patrick Mahomes. FKC's in the chat going less, and I respect it. That's why I love Chugs. Chugs says, hey, I don't care if I lose this. If the long as the nation is happy, give me the less on Patrick Mahomes. And Chugs wants to see some FKCs. Can I get some FKCs in the chat? Can I get some FKCs in the chat right now? And if you want to go play with Prize Picks, go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. Shout out to Prize Picks. Shout out to the nation. The fact that I got Prize Picks as a sponsor, honestly, man, it's a mind-blowing thing. It just shows me that this show, everything that Raider Nation stands for, and all the people that are watching this right now, I could cry right now because when you start a show and you're addict and everybody tells you that you are crazy for wanting to run your own podcast and you're addict, and now we got 150,000 subscribers. The fact that the Raiders fired Josh McDaniels, I feel the exact same way. When people told me, Mitch, starting a podcast is crazy. You know what? People told me the same thing when I said the Raiders could actually fire McDaniels. What we did tonight is a legendary experience, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart to the 4,500 people that are watching this live. For every single person that watches this show right now, I want you to take 2 seconds out of your day. I want you to hit that subscribe button. I want you to turn on those notifications because I mean this. I love y'all. And I am going to rock with the nation for my entire life because y'all have changed my life. And I mean that. So here are a little bit of a quick list here, real quick. Little bit of a quick list. More to come throughout the week of some new candidates that you could potentially look at. Here are the defensive candidates. Do we have the offensive candidates as well? Oh, dude, Chugs never misses. The defensive candidates, Dan Quinn. If you're going to go defense, I do think Dan Quinn is an interesting name. Brian Flores will be another name to keep in mind, though. I'm not sure now if Brian Flores, if Gerard Mayo makes as much sense considering the fact that I literally put Flores and Mayo on this list in terms of if they were to keep Dave Ziegler and they weren't to keep Josh McDaniels. Lou, I can never pronounce his last name, the defensive coordinator for the Cincinnati Bengals. That dude's an absolute dog. Raheem Morris is a great name. If you're going to go defensive-minded, though, it starts with Dan Quinn. And then this might be an unpopular opinion, but I love me some Lou. And I would love to give Lou a chance. Then your offensive-minded head coaches. Let's get a little bit wild. Let's let our hair down here a little bit. I got Ben Johnson, who's probably my top candidate. I love me some Ben Johnson, the offensive coordinator from Detroit. Chug said it as well. A dark horse option is Shane Waldron, who actually was on my list because of his connections with Dave Ziegler. If the Raiders end up having the number 1 overall pick, you select Caleb Williams, and Mark Davis throws his checkbook at Lincoln Riley. Mike Kafka's been bad with the Giants this season, but I do think that he's a smart offensive-minded guy. Brian Johnson, I want to get a young guy, fun and exciting offense. And then, yeah, give me some Jim Harbaugh. He ain't going to be there at Michigan next season. Those are your defensive candidates. Those are your offensive candidates. So my question to every person that is watching right now, the fact that McDaniels has been fired, who should be the next Raiders head coach? Let me know down below. This is a massive conversation. And it needs to be, and it's going to continually be a massive, massive conversation, and I hope that I like the hiring of McDaniels, or I hope I like this next candidate more than I like the hiring of McDaniels. I can remember the day when I started the show. I started it on Facebook. I can remember when the Raiders hired John Gruden, and we went live on Facebook. I can remember when the Raiders fired John Gruden, and when they hired Josh McDaniels, we were live here on YouTube. And whoever the Raiders decide to hire in 2024, I'm going to be live for that as well. So who should be the next head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders? And there's only one thing left to do. My final words to Josh McDaniels. And what I want all of y'all to do is this, and I want you to do it with me. I want y'all to get it all out. And no more fire McDaniels, no more McDaniels this. It's time to move on. This is a healthy breakup for everybody. It is a healthy divorce that needed to happen. So what I want you to do is take a second, even if you got to put me on mute. And I want you to look at that guy right there. And I want you to tell him how you feel. I want you to let it out a little bit. And then this is it. No more. It's only moving forward from here on out. Josh, I honestly wish you the best of luck. I hope you still root for the Raiders. But let me tell you this. Your ass should have been fired a long, long time ago. The Raiders will be better because of it. We will continue to move on. And I hope you see how powerful Raider Nation truly, truly is. For one last time, say it with me. The Raiders just fired Josh McDaniels. Spam it down below. It feels so good. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. Hey, hey, hey. Goodbye. Na 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 na. No, 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 no. If you're not watching the Raiders Report live, tune in right now because we're turning up 24 straight hours here on the Raiders Report.